серію прес-брифінгів в українському.
Dear colleagues, we resume our series of press briefings and we continue our discussions on the IDPs topic. And now our press briefing is devoted to social protection of IDPs from Crimea and ATO territories. And I'm happy to welcome here representatives from the Ministry of Social Policy of Ukraine. And they will discuss the issues of social protections of IDPs. These are head of department, Mr. Sergiy Maruschenko, also Vitaliy Muzychko, head of department of the Ministry of Social Policy, Ms. Anna Komarova, head of department, and Ms. Valentyna from the state employment centers. Good morning, esteemed journalists. I am Maruschenko Sergiy. We would like to inform you about social protection of those people who fled from the temporary occupied territories and the ATO territories. First of all, I would like to emphasize that that resolution of all the issues required establishment of a special center for those people. And currently more than 80,000 people are allocated, and out of them we have more than 80 children, and they are allocated in 1,322 objects around Ukraine. It's worth to mention that more than 46,000 people went back to the territories of their permanent residence. The allocation of IDPs is mainly the preoccupation of local self-government bodies, which have established a special departments and units, and all the acute issues related to the everyday issues like employment, like allocation, like accommodation, and all social payments could be resolved by IDPs in these departments. The Ministry of Social Protection has simplified the mechanism for paying pensions and welfare payments to these people in order to submit their applications for pension payments. Pensioners have to submit applications to the local pension fund branches. Also, they may provide applications to the local centers for youth, children, and orphan support, and again, they will get support. 180,000 such families were provided with assistance, including 165 adults and 13 children. And also the hotline number is 0800 507 309, and also 503 753 and 505-060. Now I would like to give the floor to my colleagues. Good morning. I'm Muzychko Vitaliy, head of department of the State Social Assistance in the Ministry of Social Protection. Of course, the major issue for IDPs is actually employment or anything that would allow them to maintain their families. And also, those people who have the right for social protection payments and welfare assistance, they should be able to resume this assistance. Unfortunately, the government found itself in extraordinary situation today, and we have speed up the process of registration for such people. We have no time for additional information requests, providing proof, etc. This requires establishment of electronic databases of such people, which will simplify provision of any assistance as for that 17,925 people who applied for assistance. As of September 18, we have registered that almost 18,000. Out of that 18,000, we have almost about 18,000 from Donetsk, 6.7 thousand from Luhansk, and 1.6 thousand from Crimea. And as of today, we managed to transfer such social payments for more than 10,000 people out of that 17,000. Besides this, our analysis of the situation for the last week proves that around 2.5 thousand people applied for such social assistance only during last week. The IDPs, in order to get assistance, have to make decision that they want to get their social welfare payments in new location, and then submit application accompanied with a minimal package of documents. As of today, our ministry recommends to people to provide the following documents to support their applications. They have to submit their passport and tax identification code. Those who have lost some of those documents and have no available these documents, they have immediately request the duplicates of these documents from state bodies. Actually, we recommend the IDPs to apply insistently and immediately to the state bodies which are able to resolve the issues. They should not keep silent and should act, actually.
Valentyna Plachynda, the Deputy Head of the Department on Organization and Providing Services for Citizens of the State Employment Center. I will tell you about how our center works, helping the IDPs who come to the State Employment Service. Starting from March, we had 11,300 citizens of Crimea, Donetsk, and Lugansk regions who came to the center. The status of registered unemployed was issued to 6,100 persons. Out of those who received the status of unemployed, the assistance is issued to 5,000 citizens. Most of the people from Crimea and Eastern regions came to the employment centers of Kiev, Zaporizhia, and Dnipropetrovsk regions. All the citizens have the possibility to see the vacancies which exist in the region or in all over Ukraine, and they also can see what are the temporary jobs and public jobs, receive consultations, advice as to future employment. So this way, we have more than 2,000 citizens who have been employed. These citizens who arrive from the east and from Crimea, for them we are looking for jobs. We pass decisions on providing assistance for unemployment. In case there is no appropriate job for such people in the market, we offer professional training according to the vacancies which exist in the job market. In all the centers, we put all the information for IDPs. We indicate the NGOs, the social institutions which render services to such persons in all employment centers. We have a hotline, and also there is a responsible person who gives explanations as to the registration of unemployed in the employment center and other issues. Also, we organize providing social services in the places of compact settlement of IDPs. When doing that, we explain what are the services of employment service. We offer jobs, and we have already did more than 600 of such trips. 93 were in the last few months. Also, you can use our internet portal of the State Employment Service, where we have the whole database of vacancies which we receive, and also you can see the vacancies if you call from your mobile phone number to the number 730 or 0800 50 50 60, where the operator online will be searching for a job, for a vacancy. For that, you just need to state what is your profession and the place where you want to get job. And during a week, the operators will be, our people will be looking for jobs. Also, to simplify the registration in the employment center, and so that it's easier to get social services and material support in case of unemployment, we introduced amendments to the procedure of registering and re-registering of the citizens in the employment center. So we simplified the procedure of providing to the citizens of Ukraine who moved from the occupied territory the status of unemployed. We reduced the numbers of documents which they have to submit to get the status of unemployed person. And also we improved some of the provisions taking into account the situation in the labor market. We provide the opportunity to our unemployed not to attend the employment centers in case of emergency situation. Also, we simplified the procedure of getting assistance to those citizens who already had the status of unemployed at the place of their registration. For that, they have to submit their ID, and then in any employment center where he goes to, he will get an extension of getting services and receiving the unemployment assistance. I would like to request Madam Komarova to tell us what questions are the most frequently asked questions. When the person comes to employment center, then there might be the problems that the person will face. If the person doesn't have a passport, then the person should go to State Migration Service and get a temporary ID of a citizen. If the person doesn't have the ID, then the person should go to the state fiscal service and get the duplicate. And the person probably may not have the labor book, and that is quite a frequent case. And there are several ways to act. If you are the person who moved from Crimea or Sevastopol, you can get the status of unemployed, and the payments after your individual data are verified in the register of insured people, the data of pension fund. If you are still in labor relations and you want to stop that, the specialists will help you to prepare, to draft the special application to the court. For the IDPs from this zone of ATO, we can offer vacancies and to which where you can get job without the labor book. And today we are working on trying to introduce the mechanism for those IDPs which would be similar to the people who moved from Crimea or Sevastopol. Besides, we work on the changes of the instruction on the procedure of registering the labor book, and according to that, the person will be able to get the duplicate of the labor book, and in the future the person will be able to put all the information from the duplicate labor book into the original. That norm will becomes effective as soon as the law is registered in the Ministry of Justice, and that will happen in a few weeks. And we will continue to inform people about what the government is doing so that the IDPs can find their place in the national labor market, so that they can go back to the places where they used to live and continue to get assistance. Once there are no comments, we may proceed with the questions. I have a question. Please tell. We observe that unfortunately the war is progressing in the east of Ukraine despite the peace plan of the president. There are shellings that continue, and we expect there will be more IDPs from the east. To what extent the state, the government are ready to host these people? Is the Ministry of Social Policy ready to prevent the problems which may arise in wintertime? Let me try to answer that. Talking about accommodating these people, that is the State Service for Emergency Situations, which is doing that. The Ministry of Regional Development also is monitoring the situation, and in the result of the monitoring, we find the houses which are ready to accommodate people in the wintertime. The Ministry of Social Policy also does everything to find such places, and we are trying to prevent the situation so that people are not left without the roof above their heads in wintertime. How many people do we have who are staying in such places? 250,000 people. Some of them went back to liberated territories. 46,000. It's good if they have where to go back, but Lugansk is so much destroyed. There are many places where people will not be able to get back. How do we help these people? How long can they live in these temporary places? There are not so many places of such temporary accommodation. About 20% of them are not ready for winter time. Basically, we are developing the action plan on identifying new places where people could be accommodated, and these objects will be found, and the people will not be left without housing. I have allow me to add, we are asking each employer who comes who gives vacancies, submits vacancies to the State Employment Service as to the possibility to provide housing. Today, 1.5 of such employees who can provide with the job and housing. There are some employers who offer both job and housing, and you can see this information on the websites of Volyn region, Kiev region, Cherkasy region. The employers offer both job and housing to IDPs. Then I have another question to you. There's a lot of information. Even some people I know who moved from the east, from Donetsk, there's a problem that people don't want to give them jobs because they are from Donetsk. People move here with their families and cannot find jobs. What advice can you give to such people? What does the Ministry of Social Policy do? Maybe we need to organize some campaign so that the people treat IDPs differently. The vacancies which are with providing housing, we say who people these are to be. If someone refuses to give a job to someone who is from Donetsk or Lugansk, that is probably because of the lack of skills or something. But if you have the information that someone refuses to give job to a person because the person is an IDP from these areas, then please give us this information. But in which spheres do you find jobs for such people? All possible spheres, because people who come, these are people with different professions and specialities. In the beginning of the new educational year, together with the Ministry of Social Policy, the Ministry of Education and Science, there were certain measures implemented to give jobs to people in the educational sector. 63 persons who are from Donetsk and Lugansk, they got their jobs in the educational sector. Another question from the audience. At the previous briefing, we heard that there are more than 300,000 IDPs in Ukraine. Does that figure coincide with the figures of the Ministry of Social Policy? If not, then what are your figures? Now, talking about figures, we need to know who gave this figure, because the register of these persons is monitored by the State Service of Emergency Situation, and according to the information we have, that is 256,000. Some of them went back home. Talking about 300,000, maybe these are people who, when leaving ATO zone, who were registered there, and they were not registered by the Emergency Situation Service. So we need to know who gave that information about 300,000. Unfortunately, we cannot hear. That's the data which United Nations has. According to them, it's more than 300,000. Maybe UN also monitor those people who go, move not to the territory of Ukraine, but outside of Ukraine. Maybe they have information about those people who moved to Russia as well. And maybe because of that, the UN has a different number. Yours is 256,000. If you have no more questions, I would like to thank the representatives of the Ministry of Social Policy for talking on this.